Main reps from southwest and southeast Georgia to join us at the meeting. We got a few little short bills before anybody gets gone, and if you see any more of the Ag Committee, I know there's an appropriations meeting going on at 12 o'clock in room 216. Mr. Al Wheaton with wireless remote telemetry, whatever that is hosting a committee luncheon for us in 216 at 12 o'clock. And it looked like a pretty good menu. It's catered in, so I don't know what all is on it. But if you see any more of the Ag Committee members, please tell them. Let's go ahead and get started. Chuck's got to get to appropriation. Senate Bill 84.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I bring to you today Senate Bill 84 by Senator Schaefer and others, and this is a bill basically that has to be done. This is each state must adopt these standards in a uniform manner not later than the 29th of September of 2007. Basically, under the leadership of Georgia and Texas, the states have developed a number of military sales practices deemed to be dishonest, unfair, and deceptive. I can add to this because I was in the military at one time, and a lot of times these life insurance companies will come on the post and they'll tell the soldiers that SIGLI, which is your serviceman's group life insurance policy, is not good enough, and they try to sell them a bill of goods. Now, some of the insurance that they do come on the post and sell are good insurance policies, but some of these are a little bit deceptive. Senate Bill 84 will enable the Department of Insurance here in Georgia to promulgate and enforce regulations addressing the practices discovered during some of the multi-state actions against the insurance companies marketing to the military personnel. This went on, it's been going on for some time. A lot of times what happens, especially when these guys are going to mobilize, these folks come on and try to come and sell this to this in large groups because they have a captured audience, and so to speak, and they can come on and try to do this at that time. A couple of the things that I'll try to go through them, and I know it's if you will, bear with me just a little bit. A company operating around the Fort Stewart area and Fort Benning was selling an investment that was actually a very expensive life insurance policy. They were calling it an investment. And included a side fund as the investment portion of the product. Most soldiers told the department they weren't aware that they were buying any expensive insurance. They thought they were investing in something. Nor all the first year of payments went unwanted and unneeded insurance. And so that was one thing that went on around Fort Stewart and 3rd ID. There's another one that soldiers were aware that they were buying insurance along with investments, were told that the insurance was free, which was not true. And in actuality, the cost of the insurance was to be refunded to the soldier if the soldier paid the premium for the requisite number of years, which was 7 years, and then kept the policy for 13 more years. Basically, it was not free insurance. They were paying the premiums up front. And that's the kind of stuff that was going on. And this bill just gives the Department of Insurance the right to go into and look into these things and prosecute these folks if they're doing this in a deceptive manner. If I have any questions, I'll try to answer them.
You got a couple.
Yes, sir.
Chuck, Representative Smith.
Mr. Chairman, at the proper time, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay, let me get Kevin's question.
Can I now?
Well, let me get one question.
My only question is what would happen, and this may fall in that federal statute, I don't know, but what if we got rid of the two service members of the Armed Forces of the United States? Wouldn't that capture them if we applied it generally to all citizens of Georgia, or not?
I think that this is an act that we have to promulgate because of the federal law.
Statute. That's right.
Doesn't have anything to do with average citizens. What happens with this, Representative Levitas, is they have a captured audience. They're fixing to mobilize, and they come on and they try to sell this stuff, and these folks are thinking that they're doing something good for their families, and it ends up being very expensive. The Army or the Air Force, the Navy or the Marine Corps has to. A lot of this stuff is taken out of their check. It's just a draft, and they don't really realize what's going on in the family sitting there with a $300 life insurance policy payment, and they don't even realize what's going on. They think it's something good, and it's not.
Mr. Chairman, may I follow up?
Yes.
And I agree, and I'm not at all in any way suggesting that we do anything except pass this. I applaud you for bringing it for us.
And that's Senator Schaefer's bill, but
right,
I do applaud him.
And I appreciate Senator Schaefer bringing it as well. But I guess my question is, are you aware whether we have an existing code like this that would apply just to ordinary
No, we do
folks?
not. And that's
Is there a reason
I'm
not
sure.
to?
Is that right from the insurance department? We do not have that, do we? That's correct.
Is there a reason that we wouldn't want this to apply to the other? So, I mean, obviously, again, I'm not trying to slow this up at all, but I'd be curious to know why we wouldn't apply this. I wouldn't want my neighbors or me to have somebody come and doing these kinds of deceptive practices either. And I'm just curious why we don't have that in code right now.
That I can't answer that question because I don't know the answer to that question.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Representative Smith,
Mr. Chairman, I move to pass.
is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh, no. Thank you,
Mr. Chairman.
Representative Sim.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to head on to appropriations. Thank you.
It's our privilege to have the distinguished chairman of the Senate Ag Committee to lay some wisdom upon us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Which bill? I don't
You
know.
do it in whichever order you want to do it in.
Well, I'm going to do them in order. I got them in this folder. SB 165.
Okay.
This is a piece of legislation that kind of came out of some inquiries into the Georgia Commodity Commission Act, and got to looking, and in the current law that was adopted back in 1969, well, let me back up. In 1961, when the Commodity Commission Act was created, it provided that commodity commissions were created by rule by the Commissioner of the Department of Agriculture. In 1969, the Act was rewritten, and when it put into place the created commodity commissions had been created up to that point in time, and it listed them, and it said the aforementioned commodity commissions and any subsequent commissions created by law. But that really was not noted at that time, that that reference to being created by law. And so from a legal standpoint, all the commodity commissions that have been created since then, until we created the Equine Commodity Commission last year that we did by law, all the rest of them have been created by rule. So what this does is it just ratifies and codifies those commodity commissions that were created by rule, that have been operated and carried on according to the guidelines set forth in the Commodity Commission Act. But we need to put them into the code and ratify all the past actions that they have done. And that's what this piece of legislation does. I'd be glad to answer any questions anybody may have.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Anybody got any questions? Kevin?
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry. You have to excuse my lack of institutional knowledge as a freshman and new to the Agriculture Committee, of course. But what is the effect of having it, changing it from a commission to a public corporation? Is that just the difference between having it codified and out there sort of a quasi-codified?
Well, what we do in creating a commodity commission, and it operates with oversight from the Department of Agriculture, and that commission is a part of government. It's not a corporation, and it's and now most of them go ahead and incorporate and become a 501c corporation, but to have the benefits of the support of the Department of Agriculture, they have to be a commission, and then this gives them the power to call for an election, and if a majority of those producers so ratify and create that commodity commission, then they're assessed funds to be used in the promotion and research for that particular commodity.
But I just noticed that these will become public corporations. Right.
That is a part of what the code was set up to begin with, that they would become a corporation. Yes.
Okay.
501, yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody else have any questions? I'll entertain a motion. Just a second. All in favor say aye. Oh, no. All right, Mr. Chairman.
SB 220,
Who's carrying this bill?
to you.
Or am I doing? Okay.
Mr.
Okay. Okay. All right. Don't let me forget it.
I don't know why it is, but everything you send over to us, you ask me to carry, and everything I send over to you, I ask you to carry.
We'll try to
If
handle
you'd
it
like
most of the
somebody
time.
else to carry, that's
No, we'll get it done.
all right. SB 220, and this is another one of those blue law bills that we passed several of this year, and in the warehouse receipt law, under current law, there has to be a printed paper receipt. And I remember back years ago, and every cotton gin, when you baled a bale of cotton, and if it went into the bonded warehouse, you got a little old receipt, and it was a card. It was about that big. And whenever you got ready to sell that bale of cotton, you had to carry that receipt in. Well, in today's modern technology, we don't do that anymore. Everything is done electronically, and it's been done for several years. But this law is on the books, and it requires the Department of Agriculture and requires every bonded warehouse to issue a paper receipt. There's not even any businesses that have the copy machines to make, or the printing machines to make these type required receipts, bonded warehouse receipts. And like I say, it's all done electronically, and that's the standard and the common practice out there. And so we just need to take this off the books and get it to where it's more in line with today's modern age that we live in. Be glad to try to answer any questions if you have any, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody have any questions? Just a second. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. All righty.
All right. SB 275, Mr. Chairman, this is just adopting and putting into the Georgia Code any of the rules and regulations that the Department of Agriculture has adopted that create a penalty for, and it's a kind of a common practice that we do this. I don't know how many departments have this authority by rules and regs to create penalty clauses. I know that the Department of Natural Resources, the Department of Human Resources, and I don't know which other ones, but it's something that you have to codify those rules and regs that have penalties attached to them when a department creates them. And that's what this does.
Anybody have any questions? This is just housekeeping, updating dates, huh?
Housekeeping is something that Leg Council actually brought to
All right.
the forefront.
Just a second. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've got this other little bill that it wasn't on your calendar. Can I put it on your calendar?
What would that be?
It's a little bill where we can take land and build a pipeline. And,
But
now
think we need to put that on
protected
this
the little
calendar,
farmer. You can't take anything if it ain't more than 1,000 acres. But you take the whole farm, you just... And John and Joyce Stevens told me that.
You do a good job, sir. I'm just trying to keep you out of trouble. All right, anybody have anything else? Any of y'all got anything? This probably may be, kind of, sort of, maybe, the last meeting we have. But we got a whole week of who knows what's going on, so we may have another one. But thank y'all again. Look, I appreciate all y'all's help for the whole committee, and especially Leg Council keeping us out of trouble. So thank y'all. We'll see you next week, I guess, maybe.